Oh. Gewaltig. Geschmack. Okay, gewaltig. Geschmack. Gewaltig. 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 How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Yud, Daf 10 of Masechta Gittin. Friends, wow, Daf 10, we're already up to double digits over here. Gewaltig. This is great. Friends, I feel like today's daf might not be that long. Yesterday's daf was long, huh? It was over an hour, right? I think today's daf might not be that long. Yeah, and we're also not going to get super far in daf Yud Amud Beis. So we're starting a little bit into daf Yud Amud Aleph. We're not going to get too far. We'll probably get halfway through Yud Amud Beis. I think we'll just start at the Mishnah tomorrow. So, all right. Today we talk about, so it's kind of a continuation from yesterday, where we mentioned the Eid Kusi, that by Shar Shtaris you may not have an Eid Kusi, a witness who's a Kuti. We've learned about the Kutim before. There are these people that converted to Judaism not out of a desire, but because Sancheriv was like moving around populations so that they would like nobody would feel comfortable and rebel and stuff. That was like his management style. And he moved these people into Eretz Yisrael, and they were scared of getting eaten by lions, so they started kind of converted to Judaism just so that they just wouldn't get eaten by lions. Apparently that's a remedy to being eaten by lions. And but they were shilas about their seriousness, their commitment to Judaism. Okay, so by other documents it does not work, but taka by Gittin it does. Right, we can rely upon them. Says the Mishnah on Daf Yud Amud Aleph, about 5 lines into the page, called Get Sheyesh Olav Eid Kusi Posel. That any document that has a witness who is a Kuti, the document is invalid. Chutz mi Gittinoshim Shechruri Avodim, the exception being Gittinoshim and Shechruri Avodim, that you can have a Kuti aid. And interestingly, we're talking about in the singular. We're gonna discuss, that's gonna come up in the Gemara, whether it's one witness or two witnesses. We're gonna see here now Gamliel's opinion. It's interesting. I wouldn't say it's unclear, but there's like different versions of how to read, kind of how to understand what's happening in this Mishnah. But Maise, now here's a story. She'eviu lefanav lifnei Rabbi Gamliel l'chvar osnoi get isha vayu eidov eidei kusim ve'echshir. That there was a Maise where they brought a get to Rabbi Gamliel in Kfar Osnoi and a get Isha, and there were two witnesses that were Kutim, and he says that it was kosher. So, when it comes to other documents, you can't have any Kuti Eidim, even one, none. When it comes to a get Isha, a get Shichrur, the Mishnah says an Eid Kuti would be okay. Sounds like we're talking about one witness who's a Kuti. Rabbi Gamliel seems to be saying that you can even have two witnesses that are Kutim when it comes to get Isha and get Shichrur. Okay, let me see. Is there somebody making noise outside? 1 second. I think there are actually quite a few people making noise outside. Okay, I get the feeling that there's a mosquito in here somewhere, but I don't know that there is. Mosquitoes are problematic. Did we talk about mosquitoes the other day? I can't remember. Says the Gemara, Mani Masnisin, who is the author of our Mishnah? Lo Tanakama, velo Reb Elazar, velo Reb Shimon Gamliel. It is neither the Tanakama, nor is it Reb Elazar, nor is it Reb Shimon Gamliel. The Tana is we learn in the Brisa, Matzah's Kusi, that a matzah made by a Kuti, Muteris, Vadam Yotzi Ba'idei Chavos BePesach. Says the Tanakama, there's nothing wrong at all with matzah made by a Kuti. We could trust its kashrus. We could trust that it's kosher to Pesach. It's not chometz, and it's it's kosher matzah, and you can eat it. No problem with that, according to the Tanakama. Rabbi Elazar Oser, the fishim became betiktuke mitzvahs. Rabbi Elazar disagrees. He says no way, no how. You cannot use matzah made by a kuti because they're not experts when it comes to the details of mitzvahs. No way, no how. You can't use their matzah. Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer says, Reb Shimon Gamliel, Kol mitzvah shechziku ba kutim, Harbi medaktikin ba yoser mi Yisrael. Says Rav Shimon Gamliel that any mitzvah that the kutim do, they do it even better than the Yidden, than Yisrael. So therefore, if they take matzahs seriously, then you can assume that those matzahs are as kosher as can be. Fine. Money. So now, who is the author of, right? We just saw three approaches, perspectives on how to relate to kutim vis-a-vis mitzvahs and vis-a-vis matzahs and mitzvahs. How would that apply to whether or not, right? How would that apply to our Mishnah, which says that that a kuti can be an aid by a get shichur and get isha, but not by other documents. Itanakamo. If our Mishnah is a Tanakamo, then afilu shar shtar is nami. Excuse me, 1 second. What are these guys talking about in such a loud voice? Why not just talk about like they don't hear? How about this? They don't hear me. Why should I have to hear them? How about that? They don't hear me. Why should I have to hear them? That's an interesting question. I'm not even keeping it down. I'm actually being pretty loud. And yet they don't hear me. So how come I have to hear them? If I could hear them and they can't hear me, they must be talking much louder than I am, which means that they're talking really, really loud because I'm not talking quietly. Friends, you ever thought about that? That's an interesting question. So according to the Tanakama, who says that you can eat the matzahs of a kuti, so then they should be able to sign any document they want, not just Gittin and Shechuri Avodim. Ira Balazar. If our Mishnah is Rabbi Lazar, afilu get isha nami lo. If it's Rabbi Lazar says that we simply can't trust kutim at all, and therefore we shouldn't trust them for a get isha either. And if it's Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, well then it depends. Either achzu afilu shashtaris. Well, if they care about documents, well then they should even be reliable for other documents. Afilu shashtaris nami. Ilo achzuk, and if they don't take documents seriously, well then afilu get isha nami lo. Well then they shouldn't be able to be trusted for get isha either. So we're trying to figure out who the author of our Mishnah, which says that kutim can sign get isha v'get shichur, but not other documents. It can't be Tanakama, it can't be Rabbi Lazar, it can't be Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. And if you say that Take, our Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. And, well, they care about get isha v'get shichur, and they don't care about other documents. And that's why we could trust them for get shichur and get isha, and we cannot trust them for other documents. So again, right? So v'chitem Rabbi Shimon Gamliel u'de'achzuk b'ha v'le'achzuk b'ha i'achi my ir yachad afilu treinami. Well, if that's the case, then why do we trust only one aid kuti by get isha and get shichur? Even both of them should be able to be witnesses, right? Both witnesses on a get isha, get shichur should be able to be kutim. Allah Rabbi Lazar. Why did Rabbi Lazar say lo echshirbo ela eid echad kuti bilvad? That on a get isha and a get shichur, only one of the witnesses can be a kuti, not both of them. But if it's like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, that well, it depends what they pay attention to. And if we're saying, well, they care about get isha and get shichur, but they don't care about other documents. So great, if they care about get isha and get shichur, and therefore we could totally trust them by get isha and get shichur, then both of them should be able to be kutim. Why? Both signatures, both witnesses. Why does the Mishnah only say that one witness can be an aid kuti? Or we quote, right? We just quoted Rabbi Lazar there. Rabbi Lazar says that lo chshiru, right? It says Rabbi Lazar lo chshiru bo ela aid echad kuti bavad. So the olam Rabbi Lazar, badam pam pam. So really, our Mishnah is Rabbi Lazar. Now Rabbi Lazar had said that you cannot eat matzahs from a kuti. Cannot be true. Right. What does it say? It says lefisha ein bikim b'titur mitzvah. Is that what it said? Is that what it said? That's exactly what he says. So Rabbi Elazar says you cannot eat the matzah of a kuti, but apparently Rabbi Elazar is also the author of our Mishnah, who says that you can trust one eid kuti and get shichur and get isha. How come? Interesting. So it's talking about where on the get, let's say they get isha, there are two witnesses. The first one is a kuti, and the second one is a yisrael. The ilav de kuti chover hava lo machtem le mikame. Interesting. So the first signature on the get is a kuti. The second signature is a Yisrael. And the Yisrael would not have put his name on that document and signed on the document after a kuti if this kuti was not reliable, was not trustworthy. Therefore, from the fact that a Yisrael signed second after a kuti means that clearly this was a kuti who is trustworthy, a kuti who is a chaver, a kuti who you can rely upon. Now, and that also explains why it's only one witness is allowed to be a kuti. Both witnesses are kutim, so then they might both be not trustworthy. From the fact that the first witness is a kuti and the second witness is a Yisrael means that the Yisrael felt that he could put his name on a document together with this kuti because this kuti is trustworthy, and that is why by a get isha and a get shichur, one of the witnesses can be a kuti. Now you might be wondering, so what's unique about get isha and get shichur? Shouldn't this be able to then apply to any document? If the second witness is a Yisrael, the first witness should be able to be a kuti. So Yehochi afilu shashtaris nami. So then by other documents also, by any document, let the first witness be a kuti, and as long as the second witness is a Yisrael, the second witness being a Yisrael validates that the first witness who's a kuti is trustworthy. So Ela Amrinan Ravcho Shovak Leman de Koshish Mine. So the Gemara answers the reason why by Shar Shtaris, the reason why by other documents we do not allow the first witness to be a kuti and the second witness to be a Yisrael is because we're concerned that maybe the Yisrael signed the document first, but signed the second space to leave space for the first signature to be somebody greater than him. Meaning, there were a bunch of people that witnessed an event. One of them was this Yisrael who ended up signing the document. But other than that fellow, there were a bunch of Talmidei Chachamim there, as well as one kuti. Now it came time to write a document to testify about what they all saw. This Yisrael gets to signing the document and he says, you know what? There were a bunch of chashuva mention Darton who witnessed this thing. There were a bunch of people greater than I. You know what? I'm going to sign in the second space and I'll leave the first space, the more chashuva space, for one of these more chashuva people. But then what ends up happening is that out of all the chashuva people, none of them end up signing. Who ends up signing? The kuti, who also saw it, ends up signing. So we're concerned that if you see a document and the first signature is a kuti and the second signature is a Yisrael, so we can't just assume that, the Yisrael signed second and he would have only signed, and the fact that he signed second after the kuti means that he had no problem signing with his kuti because his kuti is reliable. No. We have to be concerned that maybe the Yisrael signed first, but only signed in the second place, in the second space, because he thought that somebody greater, somebody chashuv would sign in the first space, but what ended up happening was the kuti, but that's no indication that the kuti is reliable. So, Ochanami Ravcha Shavak Leman de Koshish Mine. But then, one second, so then shouldn't we say the same thing? One second, Elamina Ravcha Shavak Leman de Koshish. Oh, is that a kasha? I think so. So, well, either way, it's a kasha. I just need to make sure I'm reading it right. I think I'm reading it right. If not, I'm not reading it that wrong. It doesn't really matter. But Ochanami Rav, so I'm going to read it as a question. Wait, should I make sure? Yeah, I should make sure. One second. Yeah, exactly. It's read as a question. So, Hochanami Rav Choshavak Man Dekashis Mina. So why don't we say the same thing by Gittin Oshim and Shichuri Avodim? Why don't we say that also that this, meaning we had just said that by get isha and get shichur, if the first witness is a kuti, the second, right, you can have one witness being a kuti and the second witness being a Yisrael. And we say that from the fact that the Yisrael signed after the kuti means that clearly the kuti is reliable. But shouldn't we be concerned also by get isha and get shichur that maybe the Yisrael actually signed first but in the second space because he thought that somebody greater than him was going to sign, but then the kuti ended up signing and it's a problem? So, and for the Gemara, Amr of Papis also meris, Eidei aget ein chosmin ze below ze. So it says Rav Papa, you know what this means? This means that when it comes to a get, they have to sign together. Meaning, the whole issue with the other shtaris, where we said that maybe the Yisrael signed first, but in the second position, because he thought that somebody greater than him was going to sign in the first position, that clearly what's happening is that they're not signing at the same time. The document first goes to the Yisrael, and he signs it first, he leaves the other one for somebody greater than him, and then he leaves, he goes home, and then at some other point, the next person is going to sign, and he assumed it was going to be the one somebody greater than him. It turned out to be a kuti. So we see that by other documents, they don't the two cosigners, like trigonometry cosine, the two cosigners do not need to be together by other documents, but by Gittin Noshim and Shechruri Avodim, they do need to be together. And because they need to be together, well then, the Yisrael sees who else is signing with him, and he would not agree to be signed on a document together with a kuti. And from the fact that he is signed together with a kuti clearly means that it's a kuti who is trustworthy. My time, how come they have to sign together? Amar Rashi Gzer Mishum Kulchem, Gzer because of Kulchem, that if the husband says, I want, there's a whole bunch of people who says, I want all of you to sign on the documents, and they all have to, right, one of them writes it and they all have to sign it, and then I think one of them signs it and the rest of them, one of them writes it, the rest of them sign it. Is that correct? Echad kosev v'chulam chosmin. I guess all of them sign it. So in that case, they all have to sign it. So therefore, we get all of them together. So therefore, all of the. I keep on feeling like I'm getting bit by a mosquito, but I don't see a mosquito. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? So therefore, when it comes to Gittin Noshim, all of them sign. Whoever is signing signs it together, and therefore. That is why by Gittin Noshim we can assume that if there's one kuti and one Yisrael, so the kuti is trustworthy because the Yisrael would not have signed if the kuti was not trustworthy. But by other documents, they don't have to sign at the same time, so it could be that the Yisrael signed in the second spot, assuming that somebody greater than him was going to sign in the first spot, but it ends up being a kuti, and that's a problem because it's not an indication that the kuti is trustworthy. Gufit, Amar Abelazar. Rabbi Elazar had said, Lo ichshiru bo ela eid echad kuti bilvad. Rabbi Elazar said that when it comes to get isha and get shichur, so only one of the witnesses can be a kuti, not both. Ma'ikam ajmalan tanina. Don't we already know that from our Mishnah? Called get sheyesh olav eid kuti pasul chule. That any get that has any document that has one witness who's a kuti is pasul, except for get Shechur and get isha, meaning we're talking about one witness, right? So Rabbi Elazar in the Brisa said that only one of the witnesses for a get Shechur and get isha could be a kuti, but basically our Mishnah is saying the same thing. We're only talking about one witness after all in our Mishnah. So imi masnis and ava amina afilu trei nami. Well, if we only had our Mishnah, I may have thought that by get isha and get Shechur, even both of them can be kutim. By the Katani Chad, the reason why the Mishnah specifically mentions one is Mishum de Bishtaris Afilu Chad Nami Lo, is to say that, meaning the Mishnah starts off talking about other documents, right? It says Kol Get Sheish Olav Eid Kuti Pasul, that any document, any other document that has even one witness who's a kuti is a problem. But that could mean, meaning it could be that by get shichur and get isha, even both of them can be kutim. But the reason why I mentions one is to show that by other documents, even if only one was a kuti, still it would be a problem. But by get isha and get shichur, maybe both of them can be kutim, and that's fine. So Kamash Malon, that is why we have Rabbi Elazar in the Brisa reiterating that no, by get isha and get shichur, we're only talking about one witness being a kuti. V'trei lo, 1 second, but 2 witnesses, you can't have both witnesses be kutim on get isha and get shichur. V'akatani, but the Mishnah says, ma'aseh ve'viu lifnei Rabban Gamliel l'chfar osnoi, that they brought a get isha to Rabban Gamliel and kfar osnoi, get isha v'ayu edav edei kusim v'yichshir, and both of the witnesses were kutim, and he said it was fine. So it sounds like both of the witnesses can be kutim. Amar Abaye tni edo. So Abaye says, don't say, are you Eidov, Edi Kusim? Say Edo, that there was one witness on the document who was a Kuti. Rav Amar Olam Trey. No, Rav disagrees. He says, no, look, the Mishnah says Eidov. It means both witnesses of the Get Isha were Kutim, and Rabban Gamliel was okay with that. Rabban Gamliel, Mipalik Poli. Rabban Gamliel argues with the Tanakama. The Tanakama says one witness can be a Kuti. Rabban Gamliel says even both can be Kutim. And the Mishnah is missing some words, and this is what it really should say. Whereas the Tanakama says only one witness can be a kuti by get isha and get shichur, Rabban Gamliel says both can be kutim. There was episamaise sheviu lefnei Rabban Gamliel l'chfar osnoi, that they brought a get isha to Rabban Gamliel and kfar osnoi, get isha v'ayu edav edei kusim v'yichshir, and both witnesses were kutim, and he said it's cool. So we see that Rabban Gamliel's opinion is that both witnesses can be kutim, and it's a machlokas. He argues with the Tanakama who says only one can be a kuti. Friends, we're going to stop here l'maaseh, so that tomorrow we'll just do another one of these Mishnah to Mishnah days. We'll just start with the Mishnah, and we'll go straight to the next Mishnah on Yud Aleph Mid Beis. And so today, right, yesterday, it kind of really is a continuation of yesterday, where we mentioned that there are 3 ways that get isha and get shichur are similar. Yesterday we mentioned Molech and Mevi, right, before Nechtam. Now, today we discussed the second example, which is that both by get isha and by get shichur, you can have a witness that is who is a kuti. We saw 3 machlokas by kutim, that the Tanakama says that you can trust kutim. Rabbi Elazar says you cannot trust kutim. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel has the opinion that says, well, anything that they care about, they do ad asof, right? They care about a lot, and you can trust them, but they don't care about you, mamish. Can't trust them. We saw the machlokas between Tanakama and Rabbi Gamliel about by get shichur and get isha. Tanakama says only one witness can be an aid kuti, whereas Rabbi Gamliel says both of them can be kutim. And the reason why only one of the witnesses can be a kuti by a get isha or get shichur is because the other witness is a Yisrael who is reliable, and that Yisrael would only sign and put his name on that document if the kuti was actually reliable. So we can assume specifically from the fact that the Yisrael signed alongside the kuti, it means that the kuti is reliable. Friends, that was Afyud of Masechta Gittin. I hope you enjoy. Peace out.